Welcome to the Landy Peak podcast. I'm your host and friend, Landy Peak, and I am thrilled to have you join me. In each episode, we will explore what makes life truly fulfilling: happiness, deep connections, and self-discovery. Together, we'll uncover that happiness is not a destination, but a way of living. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome. This is Landy Peak, and I am so excited that you are joining me for the Landy Peak podcast. I know that you value your time and that you value yourself and doing things that are good for you. And I really appreciate the time you're taking today for a very special conversation. I am so excited for today's special guest. You know how sometimes in life you come across someone who just seems to get it. They have this amazing ability to see things from a whole new perspective and guide you when you're feeling a bit lost. Well, that's exactly how I felt when I first met India Leigh. India is an incredible intuitive. Her insight has been a game changer for me, and I just had to share her amazingness with all of you. She's been my personal guide and has helped me navigate some of my life's ups and downs with such grace and wisdom. India, welcome. And would you please share just a little bit about you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Landy. I'm so thrilled to be here with you. It's so surreal when, I get to connect with people and feel the energies that are coming through for them. And then to see them in real life happening is amazing. And that's what's happening now with you. So I am an intuitive reader and a coach, teacher in all things mystical, and all the realms of being, focusing on the spiritual and the energy planes. And so we've connected for a while on that level, and I've seen lots coming in. Your guides and your own higher self has shown me really cool things coming in for you, and now we're talking on your podcast, and that's just the coolest part of my job, is getting to see those things come to fruition.
I think it is so incredible because you were the tipping point for me to actually launch this podcast. Because I remember talking to you and you're like, just do it. Like, you also have a podcast, and you were telling me it's not that hard and just to throw it out and do it. And so it still took me months after you saying that to actually launch it. But you were really that pushing, like, I can do this. I can figure this out. It's okay. And a lot of support and just encouragement around that. So I really appreciate you helping me get here.
Well, and like so many things, I mean, projects like that, especially when we're putting so much of ourselves into them, we always feel like it's got to be perfect before I share it. And, and this it's vision of perfect, that the mind has. Of course, it's like, I don't even know what that would be. And I don't even know what I would need to know to do it, but I'm sure that I'm not there. And there are so many things where when we just go ahead and do the thing, then it does take on that life of its own and lead us. And, where we were just sort of stalling by waiting for that perfect moment. So yeah, I'm really glad that you're just throwing yourself into this and to so many things in life. That really is what it's about. It's funny though, because even though that's sort of, my personal credo or whatever, is like, just go with it, just flow with it, just do it. But it's funny, I noticed the creakiness so much within myself too, before doing anything, even if it's a session I love doing and I get to connect with spirit. There will be that human, like, I'm just creaky. I don't know if I wanna, or if and then when you just dive in and you're in the thing, it just feels so good. It's like, not wanting to get in the pool, and then you do, and you're like, I'm having fun. And that just
Exactly.
thinks that so much of life is like that, I feel.
It is. I love the analogy because it's like, oh, I don't want to get in. It's cold water. But then once you're in, you acclimate and it's fun. But
Well, now
there's
I don't want to get out.
like,
Yes.
that's totally my kids. But that is so much of what we do. And I was on this fence, and you're like, you told me to do the podcast. And then we'd had another session where guidance was coming in. You're procrastinating on something. And it was like, oh, dang podcast again. So there it launches. But so much of what we do, we get into this headspace. And the headspace is what's keeping us from really stepping in. And one of the things I have really valued from you is being able to trust that inner intuition and step into that and follow that and trust that the guidance is coming through, and that's exactly what I need. And it was really your support in being able to trust that intuition.
Thank you. Well, I'm honored. And yeah, it really is everything because once you're following that, you just can't make a mistake. And I get asked a lot, how do I know whether I'm in my head or I'm in my intuition? How do I know? Well, you just know how it feels. You know, when you're in your head, it just feels icky. It feels awful. It feels gross. The body has resistance. You know, I get headaches. It's like,
Mhm.
you're in your head. It's just that head voice, which is our survival selves and survivor selves, what we've survived, it says, no, no, I'm your intuition. You should really definitely listen to me. I mean, I know that if you do this, it's going to be better. It's going to, and you should just not. And then but because if you question that mind, if you say, well, what exactly are you afraid of? What exactly is the bad outcome? It's kind of like, just stuff, and then you're like, wait a minute, but do you know that that's true mind? It's like, not really, but it's happened before. And the more you question it, the more it kind of falls apart. Whereas guidance, once you know it, you really can't unknow it. And you just have no choice but to either try really hard to avoid it or just move with it.
And once you trust and move with it, it feels such ease. There's just this support that comes in, and ideas that come in, and things you never even thought about could come in. And it really is just kind of an easier way of existence. But the head still comes in and plays devil's advocate over and over.
As you're saying that, I'm just wondering within myself, and so since it feels so good once we're in flow, why don't we do it more easily? Why don't we kind of the, you know, get with it and go like, it's just always good to be in flow? Because even the most evolved among us is not always perfectly in flow. And the answer is just in the nature of our being and what we are, what the universe created us to be, right? Because we're the only beings who have that free will. So I guess it's just the other side of the free will coin that we're like, well, I want to do it my way. I don't always want to do it Spirit's way. I want to do it my way. And it is to our own detriment, but I feel like Spirit kind of looks at that adoringly, like we look at our children and goes, "Oh, that's cute." Like, they want to try it. Okay, you try it your way, and then and then you'll see, and then and doesn't really get upset with us. I don't feel like for just not always being in flow. I feel like it's like, well, and here's another chance, and here's another chance.
Absolutely. And I think so much of, for me, especially in this last year, and I'm curious about for you, but what I thought I should do and what I thought I wanted was not the guidance. And so I
Yeah.
had kind of this is what life should be, and this is how it's going to be. And really pivoting was scary. And so I had to let go of, and I was clinging to what I thought it should be, to let go to really find what felt good. But
Hmm.
letting go, it's that trusting that this different direction is going to feel right.
Yeah. And also knowing that if it doesn't feel right, we can change it
Yeah,
because that's another thread of the mind, right? Well, if it doesn't feel good, you're just going to have to just be stuck with it. And it's like, no, it's really about remembering that in whatever mess we get into or whatever situation or whatever decision we make, Spirit, the universe, our own higher selves is going to be right there with us. So
mhm,
it's like giving ourselves that sort of carte blanche to say, okay, well, I can make mistakes. I can do this at the wrong time. I can you know, not be right on with it, because spirits can be right there with me, walking me into the next steps.
Right.
And that's the next level, I feel, of, I think one level is going, oh, wow, I can listen to my guidance and things will turn out well for me. That's one level. But then when, you realize, well, sometimes I'm going to follow my guidance and maybe things won't turn out the way my human self would like them to. Like you said, what I expected it to look like, what I kind of projected out there. But I'm still going to be moved and handheld through it and given many more opportunities to make more decisions from that guided place. So just letting down that guard of that voice that says, you better do it right and you're going to be on your own if you don't.
Right. Which is hard to let go of. But once you do,
Mhm.
and I mean, it's a swing. I think for me, at least, it's a pendulum where I'm like, okay, I can swing into this. I can trust it. I can flow. Oh, I got scared. And I'm going
Yeah.
to get back in my head. And then you swing back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, this morning during a session, this client really brought me to tears with how succinctly she put this feeling. But I was giving her message that said, really good things are coming in for you with these shifts in your life. You're about to make a real change, and you've completed so much karma and difficulty, which many of us have with the planetary shifts that are going on. Many of us are at the end of a cycle that was really hard, and you're shifting into so much newness. And she was like, that all sounds great. My intuition and my heart tell me that. But I still have all of the negative experience and all of the feelings from those experiences that I'm dealing with. And it was like, exactly. Yeah, that is the human experience, is that, we again and again are asked to be open, go into the unknown, go into the new frontier, open to possibilities, and simultaneously hold compassion for and heal the parts of ourselves that are still in pain over what we've already been through, or still wrestling with the whys of what we've already been through. And that is quite a balance that we carry as humans. It's that's why spirit's there to say, yeah, we'll help you with that, because it's not easy. I don't believe that spirit is looking at us and thinking you should just figure it out so it can be easy.
Right.
Let it be
No,
difficult, but let yourself be supported and helped
I
through that.
love
Yeah.
let it be difficult, but let yourself be supported and helped. And
And
that's
then,
huge.
yeah. And then letting yourself have those new experiences so that you can form the new thoughts that then can kind of be layered over those painful memories, and, learning to walk all over again, letting yourself start that new life as many times in this lifetime as you get to.
And I love that because that feels like my existence is start over, start over, start over. But there is a thread throughout all of my start overs, and there is an up leveling each time I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you can look and you can say, this feels really familiar. It's almost like when I started over last time, but then you can see all of these layers of complexity and nuance and wisdom that are there now that weren't there then.
Right.
So it is like, yeah, doing sort of the same thing over and over again, but on a whole new level, just like in school. Be like 11th grade's quite different from second grade. That's
Exactly.
sort of like what our soul journey's like. It's like, well, yeah, in essence, I'm doing the same cycle, but it's a lot more complex now and has a
Mhm.
lot more angles that I can see. And really, I mean, when we look at the purpose is to explore the universe of you from all those angles and understand it as beautifully and lovingly as you can before this lifetime is over,
Right.
because you really are here to explore who you are in this lifetime and who you are eternally. That's enough. But then we fill it also with all the relationships and all the adventures and all the career stuff, and that's great too.
Hmm.
But it really comes back to exploring and embracing all of who you are.
Exactly.
That's so maddening to the ego. The ego's like, no. I don't want that. I don't want that to be so simple. But
Right? How has this shifted and navigated through your own life? Where, because I know you did a pivot in your own life to become an intuitive, to really step into your own business. And so
yeah.
I'd love to hear just how all of these shifts and change have evolved within yourself.
Thank you. Well, as it was happening, I certainly didn't. It's like what we were talking about, seeing things materialize, and it's surreal. I never imagined it would evolve into, my livelihood and my sole purpose. But I was 41 when I had my first and only child. And of course, 41, that's a lot of years. I had a lot of years of career of being an editor and a writer, a journalist, and doing that in a very demanding, fast paced type A kind of way. Was very exacting with what I wanted for myself and what others were going to get from me. And with the publications and writing and those kinds of things, it just always goes, does
Right.
not stop. So at some point in there, my body was like, this always going, never stopping pressure thing is really starting to hurt. We need to deal with that. So I did become aware of, things like yoga and meditation and massage and things that would calm that really stressed out, anxious mind. That was like that from birth. It wasn't just like the job did that, but the job was a nice fit and partner with that energy.
Mhm.
And then when my child came in, you know, this generation of children, I'll say any children that were born like after really 2000 are part of a whole new wave of beings. I feel they are much more spiritually evolved, than anyone who's come before. They have
Mhm.
sort of a higher concentration of spirit energy that they're able to embody from birth. That's why they're so sensitive. That's why they're so. He came in and was like, "Hi, I'm your new guide," and my physical self and mental self had quite an adjustment time with that. Just my whole reality being different, who I was being different, and just the practicality of, and now you're in charge of another life. And for a type A anxious person, that's quite a tall order
Yeah.
to think about, which was my mistake, was thinking about it a lot.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then my body was like, whoa, and now we're processing all of this intense energy. So I started using self hypnosis and meditation just to calm that anxiety, just to sort of function, in what was essentially postnatal anxiety,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so which went on for a couple of years. So then it really was a one day kind of thing where I just felt this bolt of tingly energy that come down through the top of my head, felt it in my body as I was meditating, um, and then started feeling it as I was interacting with other moms at play dates for our toddlers. And I would be like, I think I'm getting a message for you. Can I give it to you? And they were beautifully open and gracious. So I practiced on these moms with doing readings and started playing with the cards and started really connecting with those. And I just kept asking Spirit to connect me with the people that would want to receive these messages and to help me grow in those gifts, because it felt so good, like you said about when you get in flow. It just felt so good and so right. I was like, yes, I'm going to follow this. Stopped doing the other work, was um focusing on being a mother, but also doing these readings, and then that just grew. And now it's 9 years later, and this is my yeah, career, my second career. And it's just amazing, miraculous what Spirit does with us. And of course, my son's still my guru, and you know, he can read energy all day long and heal it too. It's like there's no training involved there. They're just born with it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And I feel like being a mom, and I know we've talked a lot about this.
Mhm.
Um, it especially to these younger kids, but at any age that your child is, even if they're grown, the mirroring that happens in that relationship is like no other.
Yes.
Because your child will mirror to you all of those wounds you think you're hiding
Hmm.
in full and living color. And thankfully, in that mirroring relationship, we have a chance to go about that consciously, see it, and then not perfectly parent, but address what needs to be healed within ourselves so that our children can receive that healing.
Right.
But man, if you're afraid of making mistakes, that child will be, either making mistakes all over the place or petrified of making mistakes and just mirror that right back to you. So it's just amazing to work with when you're aware. And I feel like people are becoming more and more naturally aware to where there's less unconsciousness when it comes to that child interaction, even with professionals and people in the world. I just see a lot more recognition that, oh, this is an important exchange here. It's not just, I mean, the way children used to be treated was inhuman, you know,
Hmm.
just a few generations ago. And now we're looking to that younger version of ourselves and saying, you need to show me the way. And they're saying, delightfully, I would love to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's amazing how many times you've brought me back to, okay, so kids are mirroring. And I'll have, something that's coming up with my kiddos, and you just plant that little seed again. And it's like, oh, that's what I need to look at. That's what I'm really focusing on. That's what I'm pushing away. And once it comes back in, then whatever behaviors are coming up with my kiddos, once I've resolved that, those just resolve. And we
Yeah.
really don't have to dive into them. It's
Yeah.
that mirror that's showing I need to reflect on me.
Yeah. And then those kids are free to come up with their own things that they can have their own wounds that they need to from their perception of life, but they won't have to have those and ours, which is great.
Right? And it's huge. Yes.
Which is really great. So, one thing that's happening that makes things feel so electric and so powerful right now
Hmm.
is astrologically, the planet of Pluto that rules transformation, and it's moving into Aquarius. It's actually doing that as we record this. And so that is going to bring so much of this that we're talking about, which was once, so woo woo. And so even when I first started reading 9 years ago, it was like, you wouldn't just do that, and you certainly wouldn't talk about it, on a broadcast of any kind. And now it's just everywhere, every kind of reading energy and being aware of that. And people are becoming more tuned into that kind of intelligence on
Hmm.
all fronts.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue exponentially over the next couple decades with Pluto in this Aquarius energy, because Aquarius is all about our collective understanding, our technology, our awareness, being a community, being all one. So
Mhm.
it's really going to be a beautiful time of transformation, starting now. And we'll each feel that in our own lives and collective. But remembering the power of your own reality you're creating is going to be really important, because there will be times where it's like waves of intensity, which we can already kind of feel around what we're all going through together as, as a world or as a nation, and what we're going through individually. And there are going to be times where it's like, okay, time to tune into your own reality, cultivate that, time to
Mhm.
plug into the the bigger picture, time to tune back in.
Right.
We may have already experienced that some over the past few months, don't you think?
Definitely felt that. Yeah.
That will continue to be so important. And you just know by how you feel. When it feels overwhelming to tune into the world, then you tune
Mhm.
into you. When it feels isolating to tune into you, then you tune into the world and just listen to that rhythm.
I love that.
Another
I love
thing ego
rhythm.
mind hates, the rhythm.
Yes. Because that has been something that has really helped me in finding that rhythm and being okay with that rhythm. And not tuning into me felt very uncomfortable. But then I did, and I allowed myself space and time, and then naturally felt that rhythm of, okay, I get to view and really tune into the outside.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be that tune in again to me sometime in the future. But it really is this rhythm. And if we're okay with that and we're not fighting it, then it becomes so
Mm.
much easier to just step into.
And it's so natural for our minds to fight it. Our minds really are like a computer in that they want things to be steady and static and unchanging. Our minds are like, I just want to get to the place, whether it's in work, relationship, my home, my life, money, where just everything is this way and it doesn't change. and
Yes.
and our minds want that from a survival aspect and from a predictability aspect of just like, and what's wrong with that? Well, just that the essence of life and the universe is flow. And so when we're trying to stay static in any way, even if it's something great, even if it's like, but I love this, I just don't want it to change, we are pushing against the universe because the universe is like, but I always want change for you. And I always want change that's going to bring new good stuff.
Right.
And, and it's heartbreaking. It's like when your kids grow out of something they love, and you're like, oh man, you're not that little anymore, and now, but you're gonna have great new things and new experience. And again, I feel like that's how spirit feels with us. Just like, I know that was great, but now I'm gonna bring in something else great. You just have to keep growing. You have to keep growing.
I love that analogy because we've all experienced that either within ourselves, within our kids, that we do outgrow something that we love and we want to hold on to it. And I
Yeah.
know like my son has a coat that we have saved since he was a toddler and he still wants to put it on and it's no way it's going to fit, but he loved this. And so, it's transitioning into something different and we can hold on to kind of something as a memento, but we can't keep trying to fit into it. We have to step into something different and,
Oh,
really allow ourselves to step into that flow.
oh, that's so sweet. Yes. I love that. Or sometimes going the other way when the child is so frustrated and they just want to be doing what the older kids are doing and they're just not there yet. And we feel that way, where it's like, I've been manifesting to come to me, and spirit's like, it's just not time.
Hmm. And
But
that's a huge thing because we
Mhm.
see other people doing things that maybe we want to do. Maybe that would be so amazing in our minds. And we get anxious and we get frustrated that that we aren't moving as fast, that we aren't stepping into that journey. And my line for myself has always been, well, that's not my journey because they have their own things and we can get to the same destination.
Yeah.
It's just maybe they took a jet to get there and I'm going the scenic route, but we'll get there
Mhm.
if that's something that's really intended for me. But I can't get frustrated, or I don't I try not to allow myself to get frustrated because someone got there first, because it was an easy
Mm.
journey, because they don't know the behind the scenes. It might look easier, but that doesn't mean it was easier.
Yeah. Or, saying, that's okay and normal and human that I'm frustrated. That's a normal thing to feel. And how can I bring myself some of that, creation, whatever they did? Someone wrote the book I was going to write. How can I today express myself in a way that's uniquely mine? You
Mhm.
know, and really saying, but it's all right that you feel that frustration, but let's see what we can create. Let's use it as inspiration. Let's see, yeah. But also allowing ourselves to feel some of the yuckier things. It's just like with our body. It's like, God, every time I get a headache or whatever, I'm like, what do I have to do to ensure that this never happens again? I
Mhm.
will do it. And it's just like, no, you're in a body. You're going to have things, there are things that can support you in this, but trying to prevent it all is not going to be the answer. And it's the same with those feelings we don't like. It's like, yeah, we're gonna feel this way and that way and bereft at times, and we just don't we really want to find that way to avoid all of that, and it's
We do.
and that's
Right?
again part of that
We
other side of free will. Yep, we're just like, Spirit, I really think I could come up with a way to, and Spirit's like, all right, go for it, go for it, and then come back to me when you are done.
When you've done your experiences, and then we can come back and we can
When your experience, when you've run away from home and come on back.
exactly. And sometimes that's exactly the feeling. We're pushing so hard or holding on to something so hard or trying to like get it to cram in. I find that for myself where okay, I've maybe gotten this guidance and I'm like this is the path I need to step down and then I'm going to try to mold it exactly how I want it so I can predict that it's going to happen so
Right.
that I know it's going to be safe. So I have all of these, safety nets in place. And that's not how it works. And that's when
Mhm.
it starts to get clunky and hard. It's because I'm trying to force other things in.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, we can't really see that we're creating the negative experience by
Exactly.
doing that stuff. And it's like, we don't want to experience anything negative, but then we're creating something negative by not wanting to experience anything negative and
Hmm.
just go around in that loop. Yes. Yeah. It is amazing to me right now at this time in my life, because now it's 10 years later and um just the listening to your body, how you feel. It's just everything. It tells you everything. Being willing to go into those feelings rather than just being kind of annoyed by them. And I wish I didn't feel that. I'm going to ignore that or I'm going to do this to try to override it. But just really honoring meeting yourself where you are every
Yes.
day because spirit's meeting you where you are. Spirit's not, you know, going, oh man, they woke up grumpy again. Ugh, I've got to work with that. No, they're just like, all right, here we are.
Hmm.
And, if we could just meet ourselves with a fraction of some of that compassion and acceptance, that cuts out a lot of the flailing, just being like, oh, yeah, I woke up a little grumpy again today. And what will support me in just feeling my way through that?
Right.
Yeah.
I love the questions.
Mm,
Some of the best guidance I've gotten from you is that turning around to the question.
mm. Yeah. It's the one thing we're really not taught to do, and some of our generations were actively taught not to question
Right.
anything. And so or we're taught that questioning is you know causing trouble, being impertinent, being whatever. And no, we're actually delving more deeply into what's there. Whenever the mind is taking us, like whenever my mind is like, mine tends to wander to other people's experiences, especially people I care about and I'm connected to. So I'll wander to what are they experiencing? What are they thinking? And then I start feeling shut out, disconnected,
Mhm.
because I'm getting up in the head and I'm telling myself the stories, and that's just a no man's land for all of us. So when I'm doing that, the way I come back, it's very much the way that instructors will help kid or counselors will help kids come back when they're in anxiety, which is what are my senses actually taking in right now around me? Where am I literally? What am I smelling, feeling, hearing? And
Mhm.
then going deeper, what am I feeling in my body? What are my muscles feeling? What are my different body parts feeling? And then going even deeper, if there's pain in one part, what is this pain showing me? Or if there's a thought that just got me in a tangle, what is this thought or this worry protecting me from feeling?
Mhm.
And really just continuing to delve. Okay, and then what is that feeling? And what happens if I feel that feeling? The two things happen when you keep going. One is the mind gets bored and stops worrying because it's like, oh, ugh.
Yep.
And it just wanders off. And then you're in your experience. And then the second thing that happens is you're able to access and give love or light or release or whatever is needed to this part that mind's been shoving down,
Right.
and telling to be quiet. And then once that's released, then you can hear your guidance so much more clearly because nothing's clogging up those lines.
That
Mm.
that is beautiful. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining. This has been an incredible conversation. Is there any last words that you would like to share with the listeners before we go?
Hmm. Well, let's see. I'm going to see what the cards say we want to share before we go. Okay. So just notice today, as you're listening to this, any way that your mind might be unconsciously blocking you from more joy, from experiencing more joy. And an easy shortcut way to do this is when you start your day or after you listen to this, just say, thank you, universe. Thank you, higher self, however you connect, for giving me the highest possible experience of this day, of the rest of this day. And then just let go. You will be blown away by what your guides show you. And at the end of the day, you'll go, oh, I think I had the highest possible experience of this day. That can include struggles, but it's the highest possible experience of what is happening that day. And you feel that support, you feel that high vibrational lift. So that's the one thing I'd say.
Thank you. I really appreciate your guidance and you joining today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and thank you for having me.
What an incredible conversation. If you would like to connect with India, you can find her information down in the show notes or check out her website at indialeigh.com. She is an incredible resource and has some incredible ways that she can support you too. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I so appreciate it, and I hope you gained as much benefit from listening to India as I always have. And I want to share, because I think it is so incredibly important for adults to hear that you are smart and brave and kind and fun and funny, and that you can do anything that you put your mind to. And I am so thankful that you are in my life, and I love you and I like you, and I wish you all the happiness for today. We'll talk to you on the next episode. Hey, before you go, just a little bit of legal. This podcast is designed for educational purposes only. It is not to replace any expert advice from your doctors, therapists, coaches, or any other professional that you would work with. It's just a chat with a friend, me, where we get curious about ideas, thoughts, and things that are going on in our lives. And as we're talking about friends, if you know someone who would benefit from the conversation today, please share, because I think the more that we open up these conversations, the more benefit we all get. So until next time, give yourself a big hug from me and stay curious, because that's the fun in this world.